Fluent in just 10 minutes a day? It sounds too good to be true, but what if I told you that this approach is revolutionizing how we think about language learning?
Wait, are you serious? That's a pretty bold claim. How does it work?
Well, it's not quite as simple as becoming fluent in 10 minutes, but the idea is to create a daily habit of language practice, even if it's just for a short time. Think of it like brushing your teeth for language skills, a quick, consistent routine that adds up over time.
Hmm, that's an interesting analogy, but how effective can such short sessions really be?
You'd be surprised. While you won't become fluent overnight, these brief daily interactions with the language can lead to significant progress over time. It's all about consistency and cumulative effect. Just 10 minutes a day adds up to over 60 hours in a year. That's a lot of language exposure.
When you put it that way, it does sound more substantial. So, what kind of activities are we talking about here?
There's actually quite a variety. You could spend those 10 minutes on vocabulary expansion using flashcards or apps like Anki, which uses spaced repetition for better retention. Or you might focus on listening practice with short podcasts or YouTube videos. Reading news articles or short stories is another great option.
Oh, I see. So, it's about finding bite sized ways to engage with the language. But what about speaking practice? That's often the trickiest part for learners.
Absolutely. For speaking, you could use language exchange apps like Tandem or HelloTalk for quick chats with native speakers. And here's a fun tip. Even talking to yourself in the target language for 10 minutes can be incredibly beneficial. Narrate your morning routine or have an imaginary conversation while you're getting ready.
Talking to yourself? Well, that's certainly an interesting approach. But how do learners stay motivated with such short sessions? Isn't there a risk of feeling like you're not making progress?
That's a great question. One key strategy is setting small, achievable goals for each session. Maybe aim to learn 5 new words or successfully express an opinion on a specific topic. Keeping a language learning journal can also help. It gives you a tangible record of your progress over time.
I can see how that would be helpful. So, is this 10-minute approach meant to replace more traditional intensive study methods?
Not necessarily. It's more of a complementary approach. Think of it like this. If traditional language classes are like going to the gym for a workout, the 10-minute method is like taking the stairs instead of the elevator every day. Both have their place in a well-rounded language learning strategy.
That makes sense. But is there a risk of plateauing with this method? At some point, don't you need to push yourself beyond the 10-minute comfort zone?
You're absolutely right. The 10-minute approach is great for building a consistent habit and maintaining regular contact with the language. But as learners progress, they might naturally want to extend their practice sessions or supplement them with more intensive study. It's all about being flexible and adjusting your approach as your skills evolve.
I see. So it's really about creating a foundation that can support more advanced learning later on. Are there any potential drawbacks to this approach that learners should be aware of?
Well, the main thing is to manage expectations. You're not going to become fluent overnight, and some learners might get frustrated if they don't see rapid progress. It's crucial to view this as a long-term investment in your language skills. Also, 10 minutes might not be enough for deep, focused study on complex language concepts. That's why it's important to see this as part of a broader language learning strategy.
Those are good points to keep in mind. Any final advice for our listeners who might want to try this approach?
The most important thing is to just start. Don't worry about perfection. Choose an activity that interests you, set a daily reminder, and commit to those 10 minutes. Remember, consistency is key, and don't be afraid to mix things up to keep your practice sessions engaging and fun. Language learning should be enjoyable after all.
Great advice. It's all about taking that first step, isn't it?
Exactly. And remember, every minute you spend with a language is a step towards fluency. It's not about becoming perfect overnight, but about making steady progress over time. So, whether you're listening to music in your target language during your commute or chatting with a language exchange partner during your lunch break, you're making progress. Embrace the journey and enjoy the process of discovering a new language and culture.
Well, it looks like our time is up for today. This has been a fascinating exploration of the Fluent in 10 minutes approach to language learning.
Indeed, it has. Thank you all for listening to Gen FM. Remember, language learning is a journey, not a destination. Keep learning, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.